Hey guys, it's Nick. It's me. Still don't have an intro for this, but welcome to my Matchday 2 review and my Matchday 3 preview. So, for the review of Matchday 2, I will talk about each of the results you see on screen, right there, and I will talk about the table and what has surprised me about the table, what has surprised me about these matches, what I expected, and then I'll preview the matches in match day 3. I'll give my score predictions. I'll give my keys to the game. I'll give my uh, tactics that I think that could essentially change the game, and I'll give a key player for each match that could decide the game. First of all, you'll notice that I'm not in that top hand corner. It's because I would be blocking some of the names on the score sheet. But I'll talk about the first matchup of match day 2. It was Adonijah and Marcelo. Adonijah used Liverpool, Marcelo used PSG. Adonijah went 2-0 up and lost 3-2 despite Marcelo having the last 15 minutes with red. He got a red card with Kerrer and he scored in the 80th minute. This is, in my opinion, the most impressive result of anyone so far. Marcelo seriously established himself as a contender, and Adonijah has established himself as an unlucky chap right now. So, in my opinion, Adonijah has had the two toughest losses of anyone in this tournament. He lost to me in the first game when there was pressure on both of us to get a result, and he lost that game because he wasn't composed and he wasn't focused as much as he could have been, and he lost to Marcelo because he wasn't composed one time and he wasn't focused on defense, and that ended up being the difference. I mean, I talked about it to him after our game. I said that if he wasn't more composed, he's going to get cost these shots at points and these shots at victories even. And what happened? He wasn't composed, he wasn't focused. Again, I'm not surprised that he lost to Marcelo. I'm surprised that he had the shot at winning because, no offense to Adonijah, but Marcelo, in my opinion, is the favorite to win the tournament. And as the favorite to win the tournament, I kind of expected him to just dominate everyone, basically. I mean, yes, he has 4 points from 6 total, but they haven't been easy. 3-3 versus Maito, and then 3-2 versus Adonijah despite being 2-0 down. So Adonijah scored with Salah, I think, and Mane, and Marcelo scored with Neymar, Sarabia, and Di Maria. So basically what happened was Adonijah went 1-0 up like 30 minutes in, and then he went 2-0 up like 40 minutes in, and then in the chat, if you watch his video, I'll put a playlist. I'll make a playlist of every match in the tournament that was streamed on YouTube. I'll put it into a playlist so you can just watch all the matches that you can. For match day 2, there would be Adonijah, Marcelo, Eddie versus Sebastian, and Pablo versus Rick, and then you already saw mine versus Jose. So every matchup of Flinties was streamed. But I'm going to talk about the matchup. Marcelo scored with very impressive victory here. Adonijah was 2-0 up. I said in the group chat, or in the chat for this YouTube stream, you can see it on the screen. If you look to the right in this video, you'll see that I put "stay focused" though. And that was like, I typed that message in like a minute beforehand, because 40 minutes in, I was like, this could be a victory, a major upset, and a major victory for Adonijah. I mean, it's a huge confidence boost to beat the person who at this point was in 4th place. He still is in 4th place, spoiler alert. But 2-0 up against a very, very good player is a very good result, no matter who you are. So I told him to stay focused and stay composed around guarding Neymar, and what ended up happening? 44 minutes in, right before the stroke of halftime, he concedes a chance to Neymar, who buries it. He wasn't focused. He wasn't focusing on Neymar. He wasn't composed when coming in to close in on Neymar. I feel like he was a little tentative in the challenge. He didn't want to block it for a potential of a pen, but I think that was the turning point. And then later on, he had a sweat chance. In a normal player or player who's more composed in the scenario would have taken his time to pass it across, make the smart pass, instead of taking a tough shot, basically. And then unfortunately, Adonijah made the wrong decision. Yeah, Mane ended up shooting down the middle. I don't know if Adonijah meant to shoot down the middle, But right immediately, the next attack that Marcelo had, he scored with Sarabia because he cut it back to an open space that Adonijah was not marking because he wasn't focused on the space. He was focused on the man. And Marcelo tied it. And then 15 minutes later, or with 15 minutes to go, Marcelo got a red card. And at that point, I thought Adonijah had at least a point in the bag. I did not see Marcelo going for the win. But Marcelo still went for the win. And he got it in the 80th minute, despite being a man down. He got the opening. And, wow. And now you can see that with the final result, it was Adonijah has had the unluckiest run of losses. He lost because he was uncomposed and not focused. I mean, the score didn't really surprise me. I thought Marcelo would win. I thought Marcelo should have won. Marcelo hit the bar and he missed basically it would seem like an open net with Icardi. But I was surprised at how competitive this game was. This is the best game of the tournament so far, in my opinion. Not just in terms of importance, but in terms of how it played out, It was very, very impressive, and it rightfully established why I think, in my opinion, that Marcelo is the favorite for this tournament. I said this at the start, I thought he was the favorite. I mean, Footies is definitely giving him a run for the money for the favorite. But Marcelo got the victory. It was a tough loss for Adonijah. He wasn't composed with one of his chances, and it literally ended up costing him again. I mean, he wasn't composed with Wijnaldum and Salah with his two chances. Or with, it was Wijnaldum and Salah. Salah at the start and Wijnaldum at the very end. You saw he wasn't composed, focused in on, just stay focused on the scoring the ball in the back of the net. And in this game, he missed a chance with Mane, and ended up being the difference between 3 points for Marcelo and 1 point for Adonijah and Marcelo. It said he dropped 2 points when he could have gained a point, So I feel like it's a tough loss. It would have been, or Marcelo would have dropped 2 points, and Adonijah would have gained a point, if that makes sense. If Adonijah had scored his chance with Mane, and hey, maybe it could have been 3-0, and at that point, maybe Marcelo isn't able to come back from that, Maybe Adonijah's be able to hold up, but it's a live and learn for Adonijah. It's just a tough loss, Adonijah. I'm sorry that had to happen to you that way. Marcelo, if you're watching, that was a very impressive victory, and these two definitely put on a show. This is the best matchup, again, in terms of importance, in terms of how it played out, and in terms of what it took to get the victory, because Marcelo wanted that victory more than Adonijah, it seemed. It seemed, even though Adonijah misplaced the balls, and even though Marcelo did the same, Marcelo kept going at it over and over, sticking to his plan of just getting through with Neymar and Mbappe and all them, So I think that was the difference. The more composed player won, the more focused player won. It's now talking about Maito versus Footies. This surprised me in the fact that it was the score. I think Footies has had the two most surprising scores out of everyone in this tournament. He won 9-2 against Pablo, who is now becoming a walking, talking meme in this group. Not for a good reason, but for a bad reason, for losing 9-2 with Spurs, and as you can see, 1-5 with Tottenham right there. Poor Adonijah. Not poor Adonijah, poor Pablo. And Pablo's getting bullied in this thing. But Footies winning 3-0 kind of took me off guard. I thought it would be a lot closer. I thought it would be like that top score, 2-3, or it would be 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that. I think Footies, I haven't really seen Maito play at his best. I played him in an objective, and both of us just gave each other the objective. Neither of us took it seriously. I have seen Marcelo take it seriously because I played him till 70th minute. It's like he would give me the objective, but we would play till the 70th minute, super serious, and he completely destroyed me in that time period. So that's why I think he is the favorite. But Maito, I hadn't seen him at his best. I didn't know what to think of, but the fact that he could draw 33 on Matchday 1 with Marcelo gave me thought that he was very good, Footies used Leipzig. I think I'm going to have to see Maito's team. Give me a second. I'm looking at the paper with all the people whose teams. Maito chose Napoli, Liverpool, and Spurs. I presume he chose Liverpool for this game because I remember seeing a picture of Leipzig versus Liverpool. Footies scored with Werner, Olmo, and someone else. I can't remember who. Might have been Mukiele. Let me see the message so I can give you guys the actual result of who he scored with. I don't want to say who it's not. I know Olmo and Werner scored. Footies just got Alisson, but Nkunku and Olmo and Werner. So I think if there was ever a team built to get by Liverpool's defense, I would say Leipzig because of Paulson and Werner, specifically Werner. So I think this surprised me that Footies won by the margin, but I don't think it truly surprised me that Footies won because Footies I played him. He's a very good player. He's doing very well in this tournament, as you'll see in a second. Now Eddie and Sebastian, this is the funniest. This is the most banter-filled game. I fully expected Eddie to win this game. I fully expected him to win. No offense to Sebastian, but I think Eddie is definitely in contention for that 7th and 8th spot. I don't think I think Adonijah will fix his 0 points after 2 games. But I think Eddie can definitely get some wins against some people in this tournament. He definitely can he's capable of doing it against me. He hasn't done it in a bit. It takes a lot for him to do it, but I think he's definitely capable of getting some points off of people in this game, in this tournament. So I expected him to win, especially after Sebastian narrowly got by Wilmer. No offense to Wilmer, but Wilmer, Pablo, and Sebastian were the 3 that I was like, you know what? If they're not good, then those could be the easy point games. I mean, I looked at Pablo because Pablo doesn't play this game that much, to be fair. So, and plus he has like terrible internet connection, so it's impossible for him to defend. But Eddie won 3-0 against Sebastian. Since I watched it live, I remember who scored. Ronaldo scored the first 2, and then Bernardeschi added the third. It was a comfortable win. Eddie was joking around the entire game. He was slide tackling for no reason. Almost got Ronaldo a red card. But it was a comfortable victory for Eddie. He definitely deserved the victory, and Sebastian didn't really have a really clear opportunity. Eddie had like 3, and he scored them all. So, I mean, it was a deserved victory. So I think wasn't really something that surprised me, but in this game, other than the fact that it was so lackadaisical, it just felt so easy for Eddie. Hold up, give me a second. Anyhow, where was I? I don't remember actually where I was, but I think this wasn't a too surprising victory. I think the only thing that was surprising was how easy it seemed. So I'll just move on to that, to Pablo and Rick, and there was nothing that surprised me in this game. Pablo had lost 9-2 to the guy Footies, who would be in first place after Matchday 1 because of that. And he had to go against the person who was second after destroying Jose 5-1 in a very, very comfortable and dominant win where it could have been like 8, 9, 10. So, I mean, Footies could have had 12 himself, but I thought Pablo's defense would get crumbled and crushed against Rick. I thought Rick definitely was going to dominate the match. Oh, jeez. So I thought Rick would dominate the match. I thought Pablo could get a goal or 2. I just didn't know if it would be in time, and it clearly wasn't. It's a tough start for Pablo. Hopefully he can pick it up. I expect him and Wilmer, Sebastian, and Eddie and Adonijah to pick up the results quick. You know, I mean Eddie and Adonijah are like the 2 I expect the most, but I expect Pablo and Jose to pick up the stack. And I'll speak about Jose. I was surprised that that it just like felt so lackadaisical for me. You know, it just felt like I had so much space in attack, you know. Oh, give me a second. I gotta pause this thing again. So now, I forgot to say who used who. Eddie used, I think Juve. Sebastian used Liverpool, I think. I'm not sure. Yes, Liverpool. Pablo used Tottenham. Rick used, I'll have to see, I think it was Barca. Jose used Dortmund, and I used Atletico Madrid. I forgot to mention that stuff. I know Rick had a hat trick with Griezmann and a goal with Messi at least. You already saw mine, as I said, about Eddie's. I don't remember who scored for Pablo, but anyhow, let's get into the tournament. Let's get into the standings and what has surprised me about the standings. I'll have to shrink this, and give me a second. I gotta shrink this thing. Uh, okay, so all right, this is the full standings. Everyone's played twice except for Eddie and Wilmer. Wilmer had a break today. This is his match day bye, so to speak. It's actually just a day. But Eddie played once since he joined late, so now we have 11. I'm going to work my way to the back, and which surprised me and which hasn't. I am surprised that Jose's goal differential. I feel like he's better than that. Same with Pablo. I mean, Pablo's had an absolute mare, but to be fair, he faced 1 and 2. I mean, you can literally see right. I'm gonna see where my thing is. 1, he faced Footies on the first day, and 2, he faced Rick on the second day. So I mean, he's that tough. I mean, I played Adonijah. To get a win in that scenario was impressive, but beating up on Jose wasn't really as impressive. So what you'll see in the matchups that I could get my comeuppance. The matchups are very, very good. But right now, in terms of everyone's in a clear position in terms of where they are. No goal difference is coming into the fray. Um, I feel out of the bottom four, okay, so the matchups as such would be Wilmer versus Pablo, Adonijah versus Jose. I'd expect Adonijah to get that final spot. You know, of the four people, I think he's the solid option. He's the one that I would back to beat out of any of the top seven. He'd be the one that'd be like, you know, that's the guy that could get out a point or get out an aggregate victory. You know, Adonijah's had the two toughest losses, and he's had the two closest losses, and he's played in two of the three best games, if not the two best games. Um, I'll talk about I've talked about it a little bit on the bottom four. I'll talk about spots 5 through 7. Sebastian seems like he could be in trouble if he goes against one of the big boys soon. Maito, I feel like could be in trouble, but I feel like he's safe enough. You know, Sebastian. I feel like the four that would be fighting would be Sebastian, Wilmer, Jose, and Pablo. Pablo because he's gonna have a tough time against the top end. Same with Jose. I feel like of those two, I would expect Jose to get more points, so Pablo would end up being fighting for 8th or against the 8th spot instead of against the 9th spot as like the 10th seed. I expect out of those four, I would put, in my opinion, Sebastian, Jose, Pablo, Wilmer. That'd be my pick to put at like as an order if I had to put one. I mean, I feel like Jose could definitely do more than Sebastian, but I feel like Adonijah is the safe bet to get into the top 7. I feel like if you're gonna pick someone to lose their spot, you would pick Sebastian or Eddie, maybe Maito if he goes a bad run of form. But I feel like Adonijah is the safe bet to get into the top 8, you know, or into the top 7. So Maito could be in trouble, but I expect he'll right any potential falls of the ship. I mean, he did just lose 3-0 to the top spot. It's not that bad. It's not that bad a result. He could definitely get results against. I mean, he's drawn against Marcelo, who, as you can see, there is in 4th position. So I mean, Maito can definitely do damage in this tournament against the top ends. I don't know if he'll be able to completely overcome someone, but he definitely has the capability. He has an incredible. He plays fast. I mean, as the game speed, he changed it to fast. So that means he likes to play fast. So he can definitely do a tournament. As I already spoke of Sebastian, Eddie is a dark horse in this tournament to get a win or something like that against someone. You know, I feel like he can definitely take a point if he's taking it fully seriously. He can definitely take a point or two from the top 4. As for 4, I said Marcelo is my favorite. I expect he'll finish top of the group, or at least the top 3 by the end of this. And now I'll speak about the top 3. I'll speak about myself first. I feel like I haven't played anyone like legitimately. That could change really quick. You'll see in a second. But I feel like I haven't played Marcelo or Footies yet, so I can't really get a good gauge against the two favorites at this point. I've already played against everyone else, literally, except for Maito when he's taking it seriously. But I feel like I could get a win or 4 points from him. I just think that's a fair thing. I mean, I already played Jose. I beat him 6-2. I was basically screwing around in the second half. So I played Pablo before. I destroyed him both times. Adonijah is the one that I'm kind of scared of at the bottom half. Wilmer, I've played him once. I won't say the result in case he doesn't want me to say it was pretty bad. Yeah, and I just said I haven't played Maito that much. Sebastian's been off for years, so that could come into a hurry. I know he was decent beforehand, but I don't know if he's lost his touch too much, you know. Eddie, I've played him before. He's definitely gotten points off of me. Marcelo is the one I'm scared of the most. Rick, I'll speak about in a second about my map prediction with him. And then Footies, I've played before. We are pretty even. He's very defensive. I'm very offensive when we play against each other. But in this tournament, I've been very defensive. He's been very offensive, you know. So I feel like this could be very, very good. And that could be a very intriguing battle, you know. As for Rick, he has beat up Jose and he beat up Pablo. He's played the bottom two, but did exactly what he should do considering the circumstance, and he won both 5-1. I mean, literally, he tends to beat up on the bottom two. Sorry, I had to make the joke. But Rick is unbeaten after the first two match days, as am I, unblemished with him. And Footies is running away with the domination. 9-2 over Pablo and 3-0 over Maito. Very impressive for Footies, I've got to say. He has dominated everyone. He hasn't looked like he had to break a sweat at any point. He's been up 3-0 in both games, so neither opponent had a shot. Footies went up like 5-1, or 3-0 against Pablo. Pablo got one, and then Footies got like 3 more. Pablo got another one, so then after that it just was all Footies, you know. Footies never felt threatened in this tournament. So, I mean, he's dominated everyone. It's been very impressive to watch as like a side view. So that's my thoughts on the table. I think the big surprise is Adonijah at 0 points, considering how well he's played and who he's played. You know, I feel like he's definitely been unfortunate with those 0 points. It's not unexpected that he has 0 points considering he played 4th and 3rd. It's unexpected considering how well he played in the game or how well he put himself into a scenario where you could win, you know, or at least get a point. I think the most surprising at their top. Actually, there's no one surprising at the top. Everyone seems like they deserve in the top 5 to be there. It's just, I feel like Adonijah definitely is surprising at the bottom. I think Pablo and Jose, considering how bad they've done, is super surprising. I mean, but to be fair to them, Jose played 2 and 3, Pablo played 1 and 2, you know? So, it's not surprising that they lost, it's just surprising at how much they lost. And now, that is my review of Matchday 2 and the table for Matchday 2. It's now time for Matchday 3. Okay, hold up, give me a second, guys. This is the matchups for Matchday 3. Now, you can't see the name at the top. It's Marcelo, he gets home, versus Footies, Adonijah gets a bye, and Eddie plays Wilmer at home. Sebastian plays Pablo, Sebastian at home. Jose versus Maito, Jose at home. And me versus Rick. So, if you remember the table, that is first at number 4. 8th like bye or 9th bye, 5 versus 7 I think, 5 at home, and I think was at like 6 versus or 6 or 9 or something like that versus like dead last, and Jose versus Maito was like 2nd to last versus 7th, and then me versus Rick 2v3. I'm at home, so that's my first home game, and it couldn't have come at a bigger time, you know. So I'll work my way up to the top. Footies versus Marcelo and me versus Rick will be the final 2 matchups. I'll talk about Sebastian versus Pablo first because it just seems like such a dead matchup compared to the top 2. You know, literally the top 4 will play each other in 1 versus at number 4 and then 2 at home versus 3. You know, so I'll talk about Sebastian and Pablo and what they could do and what could change. You know, so. Really, we got a matchup of 2 people who are opposites of each other. Pablo is struggling defensively so hard, and Sebastian just can't seem to score, you know? Scored twice against Wilmer, and then he scored nothing against Eddie. 1 goal averaged a game scored versus 7 goals conceded. Something's got to give. So I'm going to give the key tactics. I think Sebastian's offense will be a bigger difference than Pablo's defense. I think Sebastian has more capability of scoring than Pablo does conceding because I feel like Pablo could get frustrated very quickly. And I feel like that for Pablo's key is to stay calm. Pablo, if you're watching, you got to stay calm in defense and in attack. Got to look at the best option, cover the space if you're in defense, look for the open man and attack, even if it means just punting it back towards your center back. I mean, it's better than giving a possession and a counterattack to Sebastian. Sebastian's key to this game is to just do what he did in the first game, get the W, stay calm and on the ball, and then pass it around if he needs to find up the little gaps that Pablo will inevitably, it's inevitable with every player, leave in the game. So now I'll move up to Jose versus Maito. Jose feels like he has to start how he ends. Jose always ends both the games very well, but this time he has to start it. And he has to start it quick because Maito, your key is to counterattack ruthlessly. You want to counterattack fast and you want to counterattack smart. I think if you want to look at how to do that, I would recommend watching mine and Adonijah's game. Watch how Adonijah counterattacks. He finds the open man and he counterattacks just like that. Just like that, he turns his defense into an attack and he builds up and finds open space very, very quickly. I think that could be a key to see how you should attack it. As for Jose, I see look at how you end your games. Both of your games, first one against who is it, Rick, you ended it very nicely. You ended up doing proper skills and you ended up getting a goal back, even though it was only a consolation. And against me, you had a terrible start, but you recovered quickly. You got a chance. You analyzed the field. You got the pass through. And you took your time, composed, and then you ended that just as you ended with against Rick, and you got another goal. It was very well worked. You found the opening. You ended the game right, but you had a terrible section of the game, and it ended up costing you like 5 goals against someone. So I feel like if you start how you end and you play how you end, you could definitely win this game. If Maito plays as Adonijah did, which is smart and fast, you can win. But this is going to be played at game speed fast instead of normal. So I feel like this could be a very high scoring item. I'll speak about Sebastian versus Pablo scoring. I'll speak about this versus Maito. Key player for Pablo would be, if he uses Spurs, the key player is, of course, Heung-min Son. The 5-star weak foot could come in clutch, and the high work rates and ability to trek back as well as be unmarked and attack could be a huge asset. For Sebastian, I'll have to see his team because I don't remember who he used. I think he uses Liverpool, and I think he used Liverpool for both games. So if he uses Liverpool, I think his key player would be Wijnaldum, because it will help an attack to have a 4th or 5th option to pass to, as proven with me and Saul. A 5th option from the mid-center midfield spot could be all the difference. So I think those are the 2 key players. I think the score, this is such a tough matchup to pick. I think Pablo will get his first W. I think he'll do it smart. I think he's played okay, not great in any way shape, and he's gotten killed because he played the top 2. But I think he definitely can get his first victory, and I think he will here. I think at the bare minimum, I expect Pablo to get a point at least, but I will predict Pablo to win. I think it's going to be 3-2. I think 3-2 could be the score here. I think Pablo will just about get it done. I think Pablo will get his mindset back on track to the winning ways, and I think Pablo can definitely get his victory here. I predict Pablo to win. As for Jose and Maito, I think the reason I'm going to go with who I am is because of the result on Matchday 1 and the fact that they played footies very well. He lost 3-0, but I think he can get the victory. I think Maito will get the victory here. I think 4-2 will be the score here. I think Maito's offense will come alive again. I think that 3-0 result was just because it was against footies, who is very good defensively. And now to move to Eddie versus Wilmer. I think Eddie will win this game. I hope he will. He's my best friend, so I think I'm predicting him just because he's my best friend. Sorry, Wilmer. But I think the key for Wilmer is to, I hate to bring up my own footage, but I think play like Adonijah. Eddie is very aggressive. I think if you're smart, you can break him down very easily. I think Wilmer, that is your key, is just play smart, find the open man, and to not get flushed whenever Eddie charges up and is ready to slide tackle you. If anything, turn your back and just wait for him to attack you and eventually screw up. So I think Wilmer's key player, considering the fact that he is using Barca, PSG, or Inter, I think he will use, if I had to predict, I'll say he will use Barcelona. I think his key player will, of course, be Lionel Messi. Leo, whatever you want to call him. I think Messi will be the difference because Messi's quality in this game is enough to help anyone win. As for Eddie, his teams are Juve, Real, and Man U. I expect he'll use Real for this game. That's just my thoughts. I think for him, the key player will be Sergio Ramos because in real life, he's very aggressive. He gets a lot of red cards. I think if Eddie loses him this game, it could be a huge loss. Even though he has Militao on the bench to sub on for one of the midfielders, I think it could get very ugly very quickly. I think if Eddie loses a man, it's going to be very hard for him to completely win and scrape off Wilmer. But I think this will be Eddie's win. I think it'll be 4-1. Sorry, Wilmer. I'm sorry again, buddy. But I think Eddie is, as I said, I think Eddie is not one of the favorites to overall win the tournament, but he can definitely take points off the best. He's done it to me before. I don't know if he'll be able to. I think he'll definitely be able on the level of Adenija. Maybe not as good as Adenija, because Adenija made massive improvements. And he played more than Eddie, or has played more. But Eddie has also beat Sebastian, who beat Wilmer, so I guess by transitive property, since Eddie beat Sebastian, Sebastian beat Wilmer, Eddie should beat Wilmer, so I think that'll be my prediction. So I think Eddie, if you're listening to this, don't be as aggressive. Wilmer, if you're listening to this, wait for the aggressiveness and play smart. So now we move on to my matchup. Rick versus me. In the Wanda, I will use Atletico Madrid. My stoppage is not working. Although, unfortunately, next match day, whoever hasn't used their tertiary team will have to use their tertiary team. So that could be play into the fray in terms of who we choose. But I think I'll choose Atletico. I want the first home game to be at the Wanda Metropolitano. I think this is going to be very, very, very tough for me because I have watched Rick, both of his games. Even though he beat up the two people in the bottom stage, he played perfectly played football. He had so many chances. He could have had like so many more goals. And I think, yes, Pablo and Jose have the worst offensive, but like the way he picked them apart was incredible to watch. It was a sight to see that he just dominated it offensively. I think his offense is definitely up there based on the first two games. I think this is the perfect matchup of offense versus defense. I think who is Rick using? Rick is using Barcelona, Man City, or Inter. I think of those three, Inter scare me the least. Barcelona and Man City scare me the most. I think he might use Inter for this game because he used first game Man City, second game Barca. But I think Man City scared me for the fact that they're all good. Like, there's not really one weak point that I can say I can overwhelm Man City's offense or something like that. I think the big weakness for Man City is the fact that none of them are strong. I think that could be a factor. Whereas Barca have Suarez, so that could be a factor. And they have the midfield to boot. I mean, Man City's midfield is all technicality. It's not as much OP midfielders, you know. Like, De Jong and Autor are way better in FIFA than Gundogan and, like, David Silva or, like, De Bruyne. De Bruyne is great at FIFA, but, like, you know what I mean. Like, not great defensively, you know. So I feel that his physicality and his lack of a defensive assets could be the downfall of him in this game. In the ultimate matchup of offense versus defense. I think what I should do is just do what I've been doing, is to get a lot of the possession, not let him build up his attacks. And if I do let him build up his attacks, I don't think I should let him get inside the box. I think I'd rather have him shoot outside the box. I have Jan Black. Unless if it's De Bruyne, I shouldn't really close down too much, you know. But Rick has been playing fantastic flowing football. I think that could become a huge factor into this matchup. I think I'm going to pick this is going to be the first draw. I think this is going to be a draw. I think 2-2 will be the score. I think he'll break down. He'll definitely have at least two chances. And unlike Adenija, he'll take both of them. Or at least two of them. I mean, his finishing, I think, if I win, his finishing will be the story of this game. Not my defense, not his offense, his finishing. I think that could be the difference because it feels like I'm being very ruthless in my scoring at this point, which is very important in this game. Even if I don't make a lot of chances, if I score the majority of it, if I have like 4 chances, I score 3, that could be enough. I feel like I can back myself to not concede 3. But this is a titanic matchup in a major stadium against two teams. I think the key player for me will again be Saul, big man for the big occasions, better call Saul. Enough said. Every time he scored for Atletico in real life, they haven't lost. They've drawn 3 times of the 26 or 27 times he scored, and they've won the rest. Not lost to anyone, including Barca, Bayern, etc., Real Madrid, quality sides. I feel like if Aguirre goes for me, it could be a huge change in the atmosphere. I feel like whoever gets the first goal will have a huge advantage mentally. As for Rick, if he uses Barca, I think his key player would be Suarez, because he has a physical presence about him enough to bother my center backs. I mean, Messi and Griezmann will turn up. Dembele, if you sub them on, will turn up, especially as a super sub. So I think Suarez will be a huge X factor. If he uses Man City, the key player has to be De Bruyne, because his outside shooting could be a huge change in the game and could give him another weapon that could change the game. Plus his passing is always great, and his close control is never going to be messed up. But I think this one will end in a draw. Now get to the toughest matchup. Number 1 at number 4, Fotis at Marcelo. I think the big story of this will be the lag. I think this is going to be the match that the lag takes advantage. Even though Marcelo's at home, I'm predicting Fotis to win because of that lag. I think it's going to be... Marcelo is scoring 3 in every game, but he's lacking defensively. He's keep creating chances. I think Fotis isn't going to be at an edge. He's not going to miss one of those. Like, if he concedes like 4 chances, he's going to score at least 3 of them. So I think Fotis will win just about. I think this is the one that's going to cement both of them truly as legitimate contenders. I think they'll both show what they're capable of this matchup. But I'm going Fotis. Even though I think Marcelo is my favorite for this tournament, I think Fotis will win this matchup. I'll talk about who they're going to use. So I'm presuming Fotis is going to use Real Madrid. I don't see him using Spurs in a big matchup like this, As for Marcelo, I presume he'll use PSG. I think this is a big time matchup that you use them. I'll talk about if he uses Liverpool or PSG. I expect Fotis to use Real Madrid. This is going to be his first game using Real Madrid. Or, actually, wait. Did he use Yeah, I think this is going to be his first game using Real Madrid. I think he's going to save his team for this turn. It's either going to be them or PSG. I don't think he will be PSG, because then he'll have to face Liverpool. I think he'd rather use Real Madrid and that defense against PSG's attack than use PSG's defense against a Liverpool attack, if that makes sense, So, I think it's going to be Real versus Liverpool. That's going to be my prediction. I think they're going to use both of their mains for this matchup. If not, that could swing the potential of the matchup. But I'll just say, for the sake of this contrariety, that they'll use them. I'll give key players for both in case. I think Fotis' key thing is to score. Marcelo, as great as he is, gives up chances. He's given them up to Maito, gave them up to Adenija. Adenija didn't punish him one time too many, and it ended up costing Adenija. But I don't think Fotis will let Marcelo off with a break, regardless of who he uses. I think Fotis' offense is going to be the difference in this game, as well as the lag. Even though Marcelo is at home, even though everything points towards him winning, I think Fotis will get it done. I think his key tactic is his offense. I think that's the special weapon. That's the X factor he has to focus on. As for Marcelo, I think he has to limit the chances, His defense has been kind of leaky, He's given up good chances to score, and he's been punished the majority of the time. I think if he lets up more than 3 of them, I think he's going to lose this game, and it could get ugly in this game, But yeah, that's my thoughts on these. I think it's going to be 4-2. I think Marcelo for sure is going to score. Marcelo's too good not to score, knock on wood. I think Marcelo's too good not to score at least 1 or 2, But I think Fotis' offense is going to be the difference. I think he's legitimately going to set himself up and above everyone, alone in top spot after Matchday 3. So I'll talk about the key players really quick. So if Fotis uses Real Madrid, his key player will be Varane. Regardless, he has the pace to catch up to anyone. I think, actually no, I'll change it from Varane, because Varane's an obvious pick. I'll change it to Mendy, because if he plays Mendy, he's told me that he doesn't like Mendy on this game. I think Mendy will be a difference regardless who he plays, because he'll have to either mark Salah or Mane, or Mark Mbappe slash Neymar slash Di Maria, you know. So I think Mendy's could become the big asset to him in defense. If Mendy steps up, I think the results will show. I think Footies will get this done. If Footies uses Spurs, which I don't think he will, I'm like 99% sure he won't. Son, obviously. 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills. Again, as I said with that, Pablo, higher work rate means he tracks back a little bit, or not a little bit, a decent amount. But because he tracks back, he won't get marked. As for Marcelo, he has Liverpool and PSG. I think he'll use Liverpool for this game because he hasn't used them yet. I think if he uses PSG, his key player is Neymar because Neymar was the difference against Ananija. He scored one. He created another assist. He was pulled away defending for the third. So I mean, Neymar was all over the pitch. He created so many chances that game. I think he'll be the difference for Marcelo if he uses PSG. Oh, it's a alarm for Deca. Don't worry about it, guys. But and if he uses Liverpool, his key player will be Van Dijk because Van Dijk will help to lock up the defense. So there you guys have it. I don't know how long this video is. 41 minutes. Jeez, guys, I'm sorry for this long video. Hopefully there's not a background cackle. I can't do anything about that. But thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later.